and we are now live broadcasting. Guys, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us today, and for anybody that's joining in watching or watching at a later date on YouTube. My name is Gene Marks. I'm the president and owner of the Marks Group PC. We are a 10-person company outside of Philadelphia, and we sell 5 CRM applications. One of those CRM applications is ZohoCRM, and that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today with one of our clients at Futura Mobility. I've got both Cindy and Alex here. They're on the other line, and hopefully you can see them well. So Cindy and Alex, wave hello and say hi. There you go. So, hello. I have a bunch of questions that I want to ask you guys about how you're using Zoho. And the idea here, and this is what we were just talking about before we started broadcasting, guys, is that you're talking to prospective people that are possibly looking to get Zoho, or existing people that have Zoho already and just want to use it better. And I just want to try and get some advice from you, what you're finding about the product, what you like about it, what you don't like about it, maybe some mistakes you've made or some advice that you might have to anybody that's considering this or already using the application. So Cindy, first of all, let me start with you just to introduce yourself. What is your title at Futura? And by the way, should I be mentioning just Futura, or would you prefer to maybe just explain a little bit about what the company does and then give me your title?
Sure. At Futura Mobility, I'm the Vice President of Healthcare Integration. And while that may not mean anything to other people, what it means to us internally is that I handle for Futura Mobility, all of their product lines of hardware reseller for mobility products, as well as our professional services branch, which is Pursuit Healthcare Advisors. Everything that has to do with healthcare, because Futura Mobility is actually in other industries. They have other verticals other than that.
That's great. And your title officially at both the companies, you're basically on the marketing side. Is that a fair assumption?
That's a fair side. I am a managing partner on the professional services side, the Pursuit Healthcare. So I have 2 titles.
Yeah, no, you can never have enough. Alex, how about you? What is your title? And by the way, are you primarily with Futura?
So I'm kind of in the same situation as Cindy. My official title is Account Development Executive, and I actually split my time between both our professional services side, which is Pursuit Healthcare, as well as Futura Mobility. So I kind of bridge that gap. My role consists of sales, marketing, and sales operations, and kind of bridging the gaps between all 3. So I was the one who actually helped spearhead the Zoho implementation. But I also do inside sales, marketing work, prospecting, cold calling, lead generation, that sort of thing as well.
That's great. So during the implementation itself, Alex, so you were the main guy that was doing this, right? I'm assuming, would you agree that if you didn't have that sort of person that was, if you didn't have that sort of person that was the project itself, it would not have gone well at all? Is that a fair assumption to make?
Yeah, I would say so. I think with any implementation of a software system, you need to have somebody running point, because if not, you get too many people putting their hat in the ring and too many cooks in the kitchen, and nothing streamlined, and communication isn't as straightforward, and can't get ideas presented as well.
I would say Alex is being modest. We would never be where we are today without Alex and your team, Gene, helping us get through this. We did a really, really quick install.
Yeah, it really is. Now, Cindy, how many people are using the system?
I think we have about 20.
I would say we're actually up to between 30 and 35.
Wow. Okay. All right. Because we did add a 3rd company onto our platform.
Okay. So you guys there's 3 companies that are using the one Zoho system. A lot of clients ask me about that. Like, should I have 3 separate databases or 3 separate systems? But you guys have it all kind of rolled up in one, correct?
We do. We do. We thought we were going to be a challenge, but it's really worked out well for us.
How are you segregating the data? Like, for example, how do I know what data is with Pursuit, what's with Futura? How have you managed to keep that data sort of separate for the individual users?
So we we created different custom fields. So to just take a step back, the way it's set up, obviously you have your modules within Zoho, your contacts, accounts, leads. They call it potentials. We change it to opportunities, etc. Within each module, we have created separate fields to identify whether it's part of Pursuit Healthcare Advisors, Futura Mobility, or the other company is Amtech. So then that way, if we can use based on those fields, we can filter the information as needed.
So just to kind of like build on that a little bit. So you have accounts in Zoho that cross over among your at least two companies, right? Between like, if I'm a customer of yours, I might be serviced by both Futura and by Pursuit, correct?
Exactly. Or Futura outside of healthcare, Futura and Amtech customers would be served.
Got it. Okay. So the same customer can be, served by more than one company. And so if I'm a customer record, do you identify me with certain fields on my record? So if I go to an account, I know immediately which one of your companies are servicing me. Is that correct?
So it's based off of industry type. Is it a hospital, a health system? Is it an outside Futura enterprise client, or is it Amtech? And the way we identify, obviously it gets tricky because you have who is the true account owner for that account, especially if you have, one person from one company working the account, but as well as somebody else.
Right.
So you have to identify somebody as the primary owner. What we have done is created a separate free text field that's a multi-pick list that you can select additional other owners as well. So that in that way, say there's 4 people that are all involved in one account. Obviously, we have to choose somebody as the primary. Right. However, we also have that multi-select list where we can select those other 3 owners as other owners. And then when it comes to your opportunity views or account views, I built filters in there so that, if I go to my view, I can see any account that I'm associated as the primary owner, or I'm marked as other owner as well.
That's great. So I might be jumping around here, and I apologize, but you just mentioned that you had built some filters so that you could have like specific views. So that's you, Alex, because you own the system. You're the guy. Do you let your other users build their own views and give them the capabilities to do that, or do you lock them down?
It depends. We typically lock them down because
you don't trust them.
I mean, you know how it is. CRM, you start giving everybody, access to views, reports, this, that, the other thing, it becomes chaos. But what I did was I kind of took a poll from everybody and said, what key features do you want to see in your opportunity views, your account views, etc. And I took that information and I built one standardized view across the board that everybody can use. Now, obviously, there's some users that are higher up that have more administrative power that can, obviously alter their views if needed. But primarily our sales team, they use one standard opportunity view, account view, contact view, etc. And it's worked out well so far.
So we do have a few people that have access, Gene, to being able to change it, but so far nobody's been brave enough. We haven't been live that long. So far it's just Alex. Fair enough.
Now, what about the fields themselves? I mean, do you have, with each of the fields that are in there for both accounts, contacts, opportunities, do you have lookups built for most of your fields? And again, are those pretty well locked down so that users are really forced to, choose from those lookup lists and make sure they populate certain fields in the database?
Exactly.
Yep.
That's exactly how it's set up.
Okay, that sounds great.
A variation between multi-pick lists, some free text box, some drop downs, and it was all customized. And like I said, because we have 3 companies on one instance, each module, it's tailored. I mean, that's, I can say, one downfall of Zoho because of the way we have 3 companies set up. I can't just select Pursuit Healthcare and then have the entire form change specifically to Pursuit, or Futura and have just fields that are dependent upon that. Which is one downfall when you're trying to use multiple companies on one instance. However, we were able to come up with a way to integrate in different features that are tailored to each company within the same form. And obviously, our users know, if they see Amtech only details, and they're putting in a Futura mobility opportunity, they know that they can just skip that part and that's not a required field.
Got it.
You have standard required fields that are, the same for all 3 companies.
Right. We tried not to make it too arduous for any of the companies to actually, get an opportunity loaded, et cetera.
Yeah, perfect. All right, that's great. I'm jumping around. I apologize, but just as you bring things up, how about Outlook? I mean, are you guys using Zoho for your email, or are you guys using Outlook, or a combination?
We primarily use Outlook for email.
How's that synchronization? What do you think of it? What do you think the strengths and the weaknesses are?
I don't want to say it's clunky. I mean, we all use the Zoho Outlook integration tool, and basically, the way that works is if I want to document an email in Zoho, I can literally just click on that email, hit the button, add email, and it goes right into Zoho.
Right.
Now, the challenge is if that person's email has changed or if it doesn't find that person's email that's an existing contact, then it'll create it as a new lead. And then you have to try to match it up, making sure the naming conventions are correct, that sort of thing.
Right.
So if that contact isn't already in Zoho, that's where it can become a challenge sometimes to make sure. Then we have to make sure the account's correct and linking everything up. But we haven't had too many issues with that. I try to clean that up on a weekly basis, go in and see, if anybody tried to add an email but it didn't sync up properly, I can quickly go in as the admin and, attach it to the appropriate record.
Which is really an important point that you're making here, because you are physically, because you're the owner and you're the admin, you're actually going into Zoho, you said, on a weekly basis and cleaning it up. Because if that didn't happen, then we would have a bunch of data that's sitting there really orphaned, or that wouldn't be used in the right way. Cindy, so let me ask you, I mean, you're a Zoho user, right? So you have access and you're in it. And you were telling me even before we started this broadcast, I mean, you do a fair bit of traveling as well. So for starters, have you been accessing Zoho from your phone? Do you have an iPhone or a Droid phone?
Yep, I have an iPhone, and actually Alex has a Droid, and both of us are able to use it pretty easily. That's one of the things that we really liked about it, that it had the mobile function. And
give me an example of what you're accessing from your phone when you're on the road. I'm curious.
Oh, I want to know exactly. Like sometimes I'll get to an actual hospital and I'll go, oh, shoot, I don't have this guy's phone number. So I'll have to actually, just look it up. So it's mostly contact information that I'm looking for, as well as, sometimes who was in the account last, because it's critical that if I'm walking into a hospital situation, I want to know if we just had a problem. Maybe a delivery of a cart didn't make it on time. So I'll look up to make sure that there aren't any other notes in Zoho that I should know about before I actually get into the account.
That's great. How have you been finding performance?
Honestly, I've had no problems at all, and I think being web-based and being on an iPhone, nothing. How about you on your Android?
No, I would say I haven't had any issues, and I know a lot of our outside sales team, say they meet with a customer, they're able to quickly get onto their phone, and we have a lot of heavy customization that has been done, when it comes to the opportunity module or Zoho potential module, and everything comes over to the mobile app just as it is on the desktop version. So, a sales rep can easily go in, put in a new opportunity, get everything going, and start that process. Say, if we need a consultant or we need a quote for, a certain piece of hardware, they can start that process, get the opportunity loaded and ready to go, right away.
Yeah, and it's critical in our professional services side. Really, it's really the first one with a resume to the client that actually gets the business. And we've got it locked down that our sales team can't just call recruiting and say, hey, I need an epic uptime person. They actually have to open the opportunity in Zoho, and it automatically generates the message to the recruiting team. And if the recruiting team doesn't get that automatic message, they won't start looking for the person. Yeah. So we've made it hard for them to not do the job correctly with the right.
Well, actually, and you bring up a really good point. So when you open up that that opportunity, you schedule that out, it sends that automated message. So it sounds like you guys are also configuring some workflows in Zoho and some alerts, correct?
So I can elaborate on that a little bit. So to kind of dovetail off of what Cindy was saying, so when an opportunity was open, we originally had the workflow set up so that as soon as an opportunity was open, regardless what stage percentage it was in, it would just automatically go out to everybody. And then we realized, well, you know what? Sometimes if we have a very low opportunity that we're not ready to present candidates for, we don't want to have that automated message go out, and then all of a sudden when they do need candidates for that opportunity, well, then what? Then you're manually sending emails out again. So what we actually did was I built a little checkbox within the opportunity that says send resource request notification. So when you're ready for that automated message to go out to the recruiting team and to leadership to show that, hey, we're ready to move forward with this opportunity, they can just go in, select that checkbox, hit save, and all of the details from the notes section, bill rate, probability, account information, everything goes out to a user list that I set up on the back end through workflows. And
that's fantastic. Did you, so Alex, did you build that yourself, or did Suzanne from my company do that for you?
It was a little bit of a combination. So Suzanne showed me how to build workflows, and she had a couple during her customization on the back end during our implementation. And then I kind of took what she taught me and just kind of used the Zoho help function, looked some things up myself, and I got things going. But obviously, I have run into some bumps along the way, and that's where your team and the Marks group has been great, where I can literally just pick up the phone and call Suzanne in a panic, like, Suzanne, help me out. I mean, just for example, 2 weeks ago, I ran into a reporting issue. I called her. She was on the way, traveling up to New York for vacation, and she was like, Alex, it's okay. Calm me down. Walked me through it on the phone. She didn't even have her PC in front of her, and I got the issue resolved right away.
That's great. No, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. You mentioned reports as well. So, I mean, you guys are making, use of workflows. What reports do you guys have coming out of Zoho right now that you're using?
That's a loaded question. So that's
quite a lot.
One of the greatest strengths of Zoho. I know there's some mixed feelings out there about reporting.
Yeah.
For me, I think the reporting functionality is great. Once Suzanne trained me on how the reporting functionality works, it's all based on filters. So if you have your field set up correctly in your opportunities, accounts, etc., all you have to do is just learn how to use the filters properly and create patterns the right way, and you can report on anything you want. So like I said, we have 3 separate companies. So we have, if we want to pull reports just for Amtech, just for Futura, just for Pursuit, I have reports set up that way. For some of the sales guys, they have Pursuit opportunities and Futura opportunities. So in that case, we need to be able to pull a report for one of our sales reps that show all of his, his or her opportunities in one shot. And we're able to, based on the filters, be able to do that.
We also have reports, revenue reports that we pull.
Yep.
We pull commit reports by the end of the month and then the end of the quarter, what the reps are actually willing to commit is going to close, so that we can do some forecasting.
Yep, that's another checkbox that we built into the opportunity itself, saying, okay, I'm committing this to the forecast. So, if that box is checked, when we run that commit report, those are the numbers that we're using when we're doing our forecasting. And then I was going to say, one of the other really unique features of Zoho, and I should say that Suzanne really helped us with, is with professional services, it's sometimes hard to do forecasting because, say you have a total value of an opportunity is $100,000, okay? But that $100,000 is spread over the course of 6 months, okay? Sometimes you want to be, in some instances, you want to run a report and see what's the total value of this opportunity, right up front, and count it in a forecast that way. Other times you may want to say, well, you know what, I want to just see how much revenue I'm going to recognize for next quarter out of that 100,000. And that can be a challenge sometimes. But Suzanne did a really great job with understanding our needs and how we want to use Zoho. And she helped us to customize a way that we can run monthly revenue reports so that I can see out of that $100,000 opportunity, how much of that revenue are we actually going to recognize just for the month of September.
That's great.
Which is, it's huge in our business to get accurate expected revenue forecasting numbers.
So you guys, okay, we're using contacts, we're using accounts, we're using potentials or opportunities. You've got some workflows built in, which you've created, and also reports as well. And you're making heavy use of sort of filtering as well as views. Is there anything else I'm missing? Is there any other side of Zoho? Are you using any of the service capabilities, marketing capabilities that I forgot about?
Yeah. So I would say I'll get into some of the other stuff like the email, the marketing and stuff in a second. Right. But we actually put together a few other custom modules. So we actually have our entire recruiting candidate database within Zoho. And we created
database, but you've got it, segregated that, but it's in the same database. Correct?
Separate module named resources. And then I actually just recently put together another module called marketing documents and templates, where we're creating a centralized location within our CRM that any salesperson can go in and find the marketing document that they want and either send it directly from Zoho or download it to the PC and then send it on as well.
And Alex, and I apologize for interrupting, but you are, you're like a sales guy, right? I mean, do you have technical background?
No.
No.
Not at all.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I kind of thought. I mean, like, you're not afraid to like dig in there and make mistakes and all that. It's not like you've never turned on a computer before. But I mean, I guess the point I'm making is that as much as Suzanne has helped you and got you up to speed on it, it is the kind of application where you can run down the field with the ball, and learn on your own and evolve it. Correct?
Yeah, those for those two modules, that's something that I did on my own.
Wow.
I didn't even have Suzanne assist with that. But like I said, with the proper training and the support, knowing that I could pick up the phone and call Suzanne,
Sure. Fair enough.
that helps me along the way.
Yeah, and I love it because we just brainstorm and go, do you think we could actually, instead of using SharePoint, could we use Zoho for this? And Alex goes, let me find out. And then he does research and comes right back. So we've been really, really pleased with the flexibility.
Great.
Yeah.
So Cindy, on your side though, I mean, your marketing, are you, you guys had mentioned earlier that you guys are using HubSpot. We mentioned that before we started this broadcast. So, obviously you've gone down that road, so you're not migrating, that side of things. So are you using Zoho for any marketing activities on your own, or is it really just a good resource of a sales and a contact and a sort of a CRM type of database for you?
Yeah, I would say we're mostly just using it as just CRM on the sales and recruiting side, and
Sure.
to do our monthly reporting.
But I will say, we are utilizing the lead functionality in Zoho. For example, say we go to an event that we've really heavily marketed, trade show, and then we wind up with, say, 30 leads.
Right.
I'll create a separate entry in a drop-down field of lead source so that we can track, okay, this person, this was a lead from this event. So then that eventually turns into an opportunity and eventually revenue. We can track back, okay, this lead came from this trade show, etc.
So we can kind of close the loop on marketing.
Exactly.
Got it. That's great. So leads, contacts, accounts, email, which you are also, oh, by the way, I forgot to ask earlier, you said you do synchronize it with Outlook. Are people using Zoho's email just outright, just sending email messages directly from Zoho, or is it pretty much all from Outlook?
Yeah, I mean, on the Future Mobility and Pursuit side, it's 100% from Outlook.
Okay.
However, I think there are a few users on the Amtech side that have had some success utilizing the Zoho mail function.
Okay, that's
I
fine.
did one by mistake because I did a lookup and I clicked and I was like, oh, I could just do it from here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I always thought that was Zoho as well. It's sort of like the less applications to crash your device, the better. And Zoho's email is good. I mean, if you're used to using Outlook, fair enough. But I mean, Zoho's email is pretty proficient on its own. So emails, reports, workflows, alerts, all that stuff is being used. That's great. We only have a couple minutes left. And like I said, I promised I wanted to stay on time. I mean, Alex, if you were to do this all over again, you've done a lot, but what would you have done differently? What mistakes did you make when you were implementing this system that you can help somebody else not make?
That's a good question.
Could I jump in while you're thinking?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I can only think of, we had a lot of discussion. We did the implementation pretty quickly and wanted to backload. We had an old CRM system for Futura, and we had HIMSS Analytics, and we had definitive information. So we started down the path of cleaning up, taking all three of those databases and doing a huge, massive compare, match, and cleanup. And we spent a couple of months trying to get a clean database to start with. And when push came to shove, we decided that when we flipped the switch to go to live, we really didn't want to upload all that stuff. And we ended up parsing out the data and doing only active clients first. And then we are slowly building our database because we felt in the long run it would pay off and it would be much cleaner than just doing the dump, even though we spent all that time doing a cleanup. So I probably wouldn't have wasted all the time we spent trying to do the cleanup before.
So that's really good advice as well, because a lot of people get hung up on the data migration. We have some clients that they'll migrate a basic list of contact data from a spreadsheet and then say, look, then once we've got that in, we'll build it out as time goes by and we'll make it better and improve it and all that. We have other clients that they go through a lot of back and forth about migrating data and so they can get it right. And it slows everything down. Sometimes takes the momentum out of the entire project. So That's great, Cindy.
That was a large piece of it. I mean, that is one big piece of advice that I would give. Don't just take, if you're looking to migrate to Zoho, don't just export your information out of your current CRM system into a spreadsheet and then upload it right away. Because I can guarantee you there's not one company out there that has a completely clean set of data that doesn't have any duplicates, that doesn't have any incorrect information. And when you're starting out, you don't want to start out with, you know, bad information in there and duplicates and not knowing where to put things and that sort of thing. So I would highly recommend taking the time. I mean, it does take some effort, but making sure at the minimum, just going through and cleaning up any duplicates.
Yeah,
because
whatever you're going to put in there.
Yeah, because that's a huge challenge.
I mean,
all right, two more quick questions for you guys before I let you go. Number one is, do you have Zoho integrated with any other applications besides, you know, is it talking to any other systems?
As of right now, it's just Outlook. I think eventually within the next year, we're going to look to integrate it with our HubSpot marketing automation software, but that's also going to imply getting a third-party vendor to do the integration.
We're right here. Okay, that sounds fine. And secondly, the question is that, have you run into any roadblocks with Zoho? Anything that you're like, I wish it did this, or I'm disappointed in that? Is there any, again, just, you know, some red flags that you can throw out to anybody that's either using it or thinking of using the software that you just might want to be aware this isn't so great?
Sure. The one thing that I wish that it had was integration with LinkedIn, because I use LinkedIn a lot. It would be nice if, you know, based on your contact's email, if it could automatically look it up in LinkedIn and have a link right there within the contact form. I know that's one thing. I know I think it formerly had that relationship with LinkedIn with Zoho, but I know that no longer exists.
Right.
One piece. And then another thing that I don't want to say is frustrating, but that we kind of work around. There's some hard-coded naming conventions within Zoho and specific views that no matter how much back-end work you try to do, it's hard-coded. You can't change it, and you just kind of have to teach people not to use that specific view.
Can you give me an example? Like what view comes to mind?
When you're looking at opportunities or potentials, there's a view called My Potentials.
Right.
And that view, you can't delete that. You can't change the name of that. That's just what it is. And in our case, we have 3 different stages of opportunities. You have your open, your closed, and your one. And we want to be able to filter on all 3. But as I said before, we have multiple owners. So there could be 2 people working on one opportunity. The problem with that view is if you have 2 people working on that opportunity, but say I'm not listed as the primary owner, and I go click My Opportunities, I'm not going to have visibility to that.
Got it.
That's
fair enough.
So, but the workaround there was I created 3 custom views for each one of our sales reps: an open, a closed, and a lost.
And told them just not to use My Opportunities, right? Or My Potentials. Right.
So, exactly. And I told them just mark those views as your favorites. It goes right to the top of that drop down. And I told them just you're going to live in these 3 views. That's it. And it's worked really well because of the way I set up the filters. It pulls anything that they're the primary opportunity owner or that they're marked as the secondary opportunity owner.
Awesome. All right, Alex, that is great. Cindy, any final words?
No, I mean, I think you know, Gene, but maybe the other people that are listening don't know. We were within 1 day of signing a contract for another CRM system when it was suggested to us that we contact you and talk about Zoho because it might be a much more, cost. Not cost prohibitive because we were really struggling with the cost of the other one. And right. I think for the size company we are and the amount of money that we have put into it and continue to pay, it's really been a great bang for our buck. And I didn't even know it existed when I was going through the other process. So I think it's kind of like a little hidden gem of a CRM system.
Guys, thank you. We have run out of time. It is time for you guys to get back and do some actual work. So I really appreciate the time that you have spent and even getting through all of this and setting up this Hangout. So again, thanks. Just an aside, I'll email you guys both as well separately. So for everybody watching, thank you for watching and your patience as well. I'm going to sign out and stop this broadcast now and wish everyone to have a great day going forward. Take care.
Thanks.
Thanks, Gene.